Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. I want to show you guys some charts that I'm watching. There's plenty of setups out there. There's a lot of good chart patterns, continuation patterns being set up. Bitcoin continues to pause and consolidate here, and while many are still concerned about Bitcoin and potentially shorting it and waiting for it to sell off, the altcoins don't care. They are running strong. We're seeing breakouts every day. We continue to see strong moves in so many of the names we've been talking about here. And so I want to go over some of those charts, but we still have to keep an eye on Bitcoin. I'm just not going to wait on Bitcoin, and the alt party continues while this consolidates. And so you can see here BTC on the 4-hour chart. This is on Coinbase, and it's been in this little bit of a range for a couple of days now. We talked about this yesterday in the live stream, potential for this head and shoulder pattern that was forming on this 4-hour chart. A little bit of an irregular pattern, head and shoulder pattern here, and it looked like it was about to break, but just never got below that 7,800 mark. And we were forming a little bit of a bear flag yesterday on this 1-hour chart. Then we had a strong rally up, and it looked like we were about to break out, then another pullback down. You can see it pretty clearly on this 1-hour chart. Just been very choppy all over the place, but still very much range bound and within this zone. Meanwhile, the alts continue to rally while Bitcoin consolidates. This continues to be a healthy consolidation. I am not leaning bearish one bit. I'm liking the pause here. If you go to the daily chart, you can see it's just sitting tight, letting this moving average catch up. If it pulls back further, you guys know where I stand. The $7,500 to $7,700 mark is really the low I'm looking at, but the longer this sits tight, the more likely this is going to hold above this 7,800 mark. And when this moving average catches up, we'll see a retest and most likely a breakout above this most recent high at the $8,300, $8,400 range. That's going to be significant because that will be the test that I've been talking about here for this longer term downtrend that we've been watching. If we can break above that, we'll be testing that $8,600 resistance and then ultimately that 9K mark, and that would be very good and would start to signal a confirmed turning of the trend. You'll see the RSI as well. I was talked about this in my last video. It paused right at 60, and when things are remaining in bear mode, that's where they pause. I was looking for a little bit of pullback, and now I'm looking for a break above that 60 mark on the RSI, and that could correspond with the break of this downtrend on the daily chart. So all in all, I'm leaning bullish until we see a break below that $7,400 mark. That's going to be my stance. I am still taking positions in the altcoins, and that's what I'm going to be doing here in the near term. So let's take a look at some of those strong patterns that I'm watching on the altcoin market. So Bitcoin Cash breaks out, and you can see Bitcoin Cash was forming a nice little ascending triangle pattern here with the low rising, the higher lows are forming, and then a very strong breakout on very good volume right there, and it's continuing. Definitely a little bit overbought near term, but strong pattern there. Good solid breakout on the daily charts. Looks like it's found a really good low and now really confirming to the upside. Look at that buying volume on Bitcoin Cash. Dash also breaking out of this little bit of a bull pennant here following that run up last week, and we saw this little consolidation forming. Seen some good volume on the move up, but I must caution there's a little bit of a heavy volume selling here near the top. So as long as it holds on a pullback, this moving average and the upper trend line around that 377, 375 mark, it'll be fine. But this is a nice breakout out of this bull pennant and looking like it wants to go higher. You can see this is a strong move off the low, gave you a nice little consolidation. It let that moving average catch up, and here we are seeing some follow through to the upside. Also breaking out versus BTC. IOTA dollar also very strong, pausing, healthy consolidation following that big run we had last week. You can see it's forming a little bit of a bull flag here, letting this consolidation rest and let the moving average catch up. On the daily chart, the 10 EMA is sitting right here, right around that 140 mark, and so it's getting close, still a little bit extended considering, you know, we had basically a 60% move in a couple of days, and so this is a good pause letting it consolidate. But keep an eye out on that upper trend line, and a break above that, especially with some decent volume, could signal that the next leg up is resuming. NEO also forming an ascending triangle on the USD pair, and NEO versus BTC has already broken out, and we're seeing that just edge out here today, starting to clear this resistance, was forming a very strong pattern, and some strong volume came in here as this thing started to move out. You can see this volume corresponding with a break above that resistance, and so very positive action on NEO. Looks like it's ready to start moving high. Ripple, another ascending triangle. Ripple's tightening up here right below that 70-cent mark. You can see the lows are starting to inch up and getting higher here, getting really tight. And so a break above that 70-cent mark on the Ripple USD pair would signal a breakout above this ascending triangle pattern. VeChain. So VeChain has been fighting this downtrend resistance line here a couple of times now, and it's sitting right below a key resistance point after having a pretty strong rally last week. And now if we zoom in on the 4-hour chart, you can see it's really trying to break out of a little bit of a bull pennant here that it's formed during this consolidation. And this pattern got really narrow. Volume is starting to come in. You can see that it's testing right at that line. A break above that would be a significant break and would start to confirm a turn of this downtrend that has been in place for several months now. And so VeChain is right at a key resistance point. So I'm watching this one for a strong break. We got to see that volume come in on the break, but right now it looks like it's going to move higher. Stellar Lumens rockets higher, hits my resistance target here, was also within the target on my measured move higher, but this broke out and just really got going here over the last day or so. You can see on the 4-hour chart just super strong, but I must caution that the highest volume we've seen is at the very top of the run after an extended move. For me, that's climactic buying. That's usually some buying exhaustion, and so be careful when you see these type of moves. I know it's easy to start FOMOing into some of these trades. This is a very strong move here, and for me, when I see this type of thing, it signals either tighten up the stops really tight or start locking in some of these gains. But following this breakout out of this really tight consolidation that it had down here, this thing ran as high as 48%. It's still up about 42% and has had a very nice move. Needs to cool off a little bit on the daily chart, though. It's still looking really good. I'd like to see a little bit of a pause below this resistance point, and that would set up for another leg higher and a retest above. NCASH is edging out into new high territory after breaking out here. It's been a little choppy over the last couple of days, but it was a bit extended on this daily, so now it's letting that moving average catch up. So far we're holding, and if we zoom in on the 4-hour charts, it's just now starting to move higher. As long as this trend continues to hold, it's very positive. The buy volume has been very strong, and so when something is in new high territory, it could go a lot longer than one expects just because there is no overhead resistance on this. So the pullbacks, as long as they're contained to this moving average, are very healthy, and I'm liking the way NCASH is looking here in the near term. We saw Monero move very strong yesterday. Zcash was in the middle of a bull flag during that, and that moved out in sympathy with Monero. You can see that big volume came in as it broke above this trend line, and now it's looking like it wants to go higher. So Zcash is looking pretty good. This is Zcash, the USD pair, and you can see off the daily move here, it's had a big move off the low. This pause consolidation was very healthy, let things cool off a little bit, and now it looks like it wants to go another leg higher. And here is that move on Monero. Just incredible volume came in, very strong off the lows, playing some catch up. Monero had been sitting real tight, real quiet. You can see here over the last couple of weeks, most of the alts have been rallying strong. Monero really hadn't participated, and then yesterday just rockets higher and went up, off of the single candle here. This is a 4-hour bar, but that was up 20% at one point. Definitely was overheated in the near term. It's pulling in a little bit, but it's looking like it's forming a little bit of a bull flag here on this 4-hour chart. So be nice to see some consolidation, some pause, and set up for another leg higher. So guys, in summary, you don't see these kind of setups, this many bullish and continuation patterns when the market is weak. I know Bitcoin is kind of shaky here. It's range bound, it's sitting tight, but the alts are telling a different story. They are looking very strong. They're looking positive. I can keep going down the list. There are just so many names breaking out, moving strong, setting up. And so don't be too heavy on one side or the other. It's good to look at both options in both potential scenarios. I'm not saying get overly bullish and exuberant, but also be cautious about getting overly bearish and waiting for the next crash. You got to go with the market. take it one day at a time and go with what the signals are saying. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you're new to technical analysis, or if you want to expand a little bit, check out my site, nodeinvestor.com/training. I've got a couple of video courses there that will help you with some of this. Appreciate everybody watching. Please remember to subscribe, hit that like button if you like this content, if it helped. Until next time, take care, everyone.